I want to talk to you about something else which we have no control over. US President Donald Trump, who was said to be tested positive for COVID-19. Imagine the hoax. He was tested positive for it. And of course, the Twitter sphere went completely wild with theories. People were saying that he was feigning illness just to kind of get out of his debates with rival Joe Biden and out of the upcoming US presidential election. But it got me thinking, ladies, what is the worst thing that you have said or done to get out of, let's say, A, work, B, a family event, or C, a date with someone you weren't interested in?
I know you got some stories, Anissa.
No, I don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't. I'd like to say typically I'm quite a straight shooter. I mean, have I taken days off work when I haven't been physically ill? Yes, but that's maybe because I just was mentally overwhelmed, and you can't like call your job up and say, hey, I'm having a bad mental health day. You just feel like, I've got diarrhea, do you know what I mean? So that's not really far-fetched, you know, it's a purging of different sorts. Anyway, so I think the worst... I just don't think I've done anything. The only thing that could come to my mind when I was thinking about this is probably when I was 14. And once again, I was a child even. I think I was dating this boy, but it's not even really serious. You're 14, do you know what I mean? But I think I wanted to start dating another boy, but I had to wrap this situation up because I think the other boy knew that I was going to become a boy.
I have a next appointment in 10, so we got to wrap it up.
I just wanted to wrap it up. So I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I really need to get out of this. And I'm trying to get out of it, but the guy really wasn't trying to let me get out of it. So I remember just saying to him, like, look, I just have some serious family drama that's not letting me allowed to be in this relationship anymore, so I cannot be with you. And so that was literally what I did. Obviously, he found out I was lying because I'm pretty sure it had to be within hours or maybe days that I then got with the other guy. I was quite public about it. So then I remember him being upset. It was a whole thing. So that was that. But I was 14, so it's really too bad. I just said and I kept it ambiguous. I said family drama because I didn't want to wish anything bad on my family. So that had to be it.
You know what you just said about like, oh, I can't call it work when I'm mentally overwhelmed.
I can't call it
so
sick.
like, yeah, but like I have done that, and I don't really lie. Like I usually just like psych myself up for the uncomfortable conversations in terms of like knocking people off for like brushing people off for dates, and things like like I don't make elaborate excuses. I'd rather just be like, okay, I don't like you. You know what I mean? Like, just psych yourself.
I agree with you. I agree.
Also,
just be straight. Yep.
Yeah, because if you like someone or if someone likes you and you give them an excuse or you get an excuse, your mind will move mountains to overcome the obstacle that they have put in between you, or that you have put in between them. True. Yeah, if you really like them, you will just move the obstacle in your mind. Like, it is fine. And so I feel like you should just give people straight answers. Like, and so, you know what I mean? So I do that a lot in terms of dating, but I think there was one scenario in work when I was very mentally overwhelmed, like you said, and I knew that I couldn't go to work, and I had that scenario where, you know, you have that feeling where something like really bad is going to happen, and I just felt like I can't leave my house, like I can't do it. But I didn't also, again, I guess I bended the truth because I didn't say like I need to stay in bed. I just kind of said I'm not feeling well, but because the job that I was working at wasn't like a 9-to-5 job, like the shifts were all scattered throughout the week. So it was at a time where I really wasn't paying attention to days of the week. And I'm a social butterfly. And you know, on the phone, they were being really arsey with me, and they were being like, you're sick. What's wrong with you? Bear in mind, I'd already worked for the company for about a year and never had a sick day once, never been late. I'm just, you know what I mean? Like I'm that kind of worker. And so I felt very disrespected because like it literally was the first time that I was calling in to cancel a shift, and I felt like absolute crap, just trying to find a family friendly word. And then I realized, like, why are they being so mean to me? And I realized it was Sunday, and so they just thought I was hungover, and so they were like, "Oh, you're not coming into work, Luanda, on this Sunday morning? Is it interesting?" So, but I was genuinely like, I've never called in sick before. Why are they treating me like this? And it was because my closest friend at work went out, and we're just always together. Like, we were always partying together, always.
So they thought...
And so they saw her story. She was at the club, and they just presumed, even if she didn't catch me in the shot, like I must have been with her, which I wasn't. I was in bed being sad, and I missed one shift out of all the times that, you know what I mean? I was working full time, so it was just a bit ridiculous, to be honest. But yeah.
I mean, I don't think
calling in sad should be a thing.
Do you know what?
Calling in on mental health days, honestly, I'm telling you.
Do you know what? Let me start there. I read this this woman who wrote a tweet, and she was saying that she called into her office and she said, I'm having a bad mental health day, I'm taking the day off, and her boss congratulated her on it, because they're saying that we do need to be taking this consideration about how draining life is in general. And this was before COVID. Like, sometimes your mind can't really take what's going on. Sometimes things take an emotional and a mental toll, but it actually speaks to how we don't actually recognize mental health things, because you're just like, well, your body's fine, so you can pick up and walk yourself in. It doesn't matter if you're sad.
Here we go.
Like, well, actually, my mind being unwell is actually a bigger thing than my body 100%. Being unwell. So we definitely need to start thinking about that. I think in terms of guys, one time I did have a friend call me and ring me out of a date because I'd gone on this date by accident. So,
oh my gosh.
This guy, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Went on a date by accident?
I don't get the date by accident.
Talk us through it.
Okay, so I was doing some writing for this online publication, and we were at this trainer event, and they were like releasing this new shoe. So they were like, just go to the event and write about it. This white guy came and was just chatting to me.
Okay.
Chatting. I was just chatting away to him, blah, 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 blah. And then he asked my business card. I was like, yeah, cool, no problem. I didn't actually realise he was chatting me up, because I had just assumed that I wasn't attractive to white men. So it completely caught me off guard.
So funny at the same time.
I was just kind of like, so when he asked for my number, I was just like,
for what?
What's going on here? And then my black male friends came over and they were busting up, and they were just like, what? I was just like, my guards were completely down. I was just chatting like it was a brethren, because I was just like, he's not interested in me. Like, I was just like, it's not going to happen. So then I felt bad about this whole thing, and so I went on a date with him. But I was like, I'm not gonna. But he was balding. He was
balding.
Yeah, a little milk in his coat.
No guilt dates. No guilt dates.
I went on the date and literally
you tell him you're not for me. You just backed me. So you just back case. You just back case.
I'm telling you, this was years ago, and I hadn't strapped on a full pair yet, obviously. So I said to my friend, look, about 35 minutes in, you call me and you tell me that something bad has happened. And she was like, okay, no problem. So we're on the date. Do you know what the sad thing is? I actually started to enjoy the date, and then my friend called me, and I'm like, well, I've come this far. We've already set up the scenario.
Oh, no.
So she picked up. I was like, what? Something bad has happened? Oh my gosh. I was like, I have to go right now. Like, oh my gosh, my friend has fallen down. And literally, I think he could hear her laughing. She was laughing her head off because, guys, I studied drama. I was giving it the full welly of just pain and worry. It was a mess.
Performance.
But it was Oscar winning. So after that, I then saw him at some next event with some next black woman. I'm like, he got his queen. He's happy. But in general,
milk and coffee, honey.
I'm not here for it. Like, because that's what I want to ask you guys. I read in this article, and it was talking about some of the worst excuses people have used to kind of get away from dates and things. And one girl was saying how she said, oh, I'm not into guys. When they try and chat her up, she's like, I'm into women. And she's like, it's a really nice way to let guys down. Like, would you ever lie in order to let a guy down easy?
Have done in the past. Do you want to? No, go.
No, I was going to say, I have done in the past, but I've made it a rule as of lately not to. And the only reason why I did it in the past was not because I was trying to spare their feelings, is because they could not take no for an answer, but I had to then become so.
What would you say?
I would tell you. I would say the most outlandish thing, because if I've said no, and you have you still don't even care a word of what I'm saying to you, I had to be extremely outlandish. So I used to say, listen, let me be extremely clear, right? Yes, I do have a man, but he's in prison right now and he's getting out next week. So what I don't really want to do is get you involved in this, because also we have a child that's 2 years old. And so I've got a whole family to think about. And I say to him, not unless you're willing to help me look after the child. And no man is really willing to help you look after the child if you've got a prison baby daddy. So there used to be, so then that would be the only way it would get off my back, right? And then after that, do you know how ridiculous it has to be to keep feeding this story about this prison baby father that you have? And so after that, I thought to myself, no.
Days.
So I'm going to stand here and say no with you 100 times until you understand when someone says no, it just means no. Because that's when I used to do. I used to give you wild excuses, but now it's like, I want you, bro, to understand what no means. And I'm not even sparing your feelings because you can't even understand the concept of no. So that's me. But yeah.
Yeah.
So were any of those guys confused when they've never seen you with a baby, Anissa?
My baby, my prison baby daddy.
Yeah. Was no one worried when they never saw this child?
Well, no, I'd say one, that the baby father doesn't like the pictures of the child on social media, so I don't have it because his ops could be watching.
That's a valid reason.
You were deep in this story. Yes,
I've been in the story about the visits and the prison. Don't get me started, please, Luanda.
Yes, girl.
Well, like, funnily enough, I was going to say something very, very similar to what you just said. Like, I used to do it when I was younger and when I was like underage in clubs and stuff, because we just had to ward off a lot of men. So if I went with like my one female friend and we didn't like the ones that approached us, we'd just say that we were gay. But the reason why I don't do it anymore is because every woman uses that excuse, and so all the men know that it's BS, and so they still keep trying it on with you anyway. And then also
I don't
because
think they see
Anissa,
it as a turn off.
They don't.
They don't see it as a turn. They don't see it as a turn off.
And they don't take it as real.
Yeah,
they don't value.
It's so true. It's like it's either like challenge accepted or it's like make out for us. Then there's just so much going on, and I don't want it to ever be like a performance. So it just gets ridiculous.
Yeah.
And like Anissa said, like people just need to understand that no means no. So there are people that. So I've just tried to be like fair but firm with people when people, and especially be like drunk men that come on to you too strong and they're over and over again and they keep saying the same things and you're not interested. So I just have to be like, no, thank you. No, I'm not interested. Or if they approached you respectfully, I'm like, thank you for being respectful, but I'm not interested, you know? And I feel bad, but it just has to be said, like, I'm just not interested. Yeah. I'm allowed to not be interested. I don't need to have a boyfriend.
Thank you, Luanda.
To not be attracted to men. I am not interested in you. Leave me alone. And a lot of the time it results in harassment, to be completely honest, because they don't understand that you have like the right to your own body. So that they get confused and they get angry and they get aggressive.
Or that tide of line, you're ugly anyway. Am I ugly anyway?
But you've been checking for me.
Exactly.
So
yes. I'm ugly, but you're the one really pressed to make sure your breath next to me.
So like, that's weak. That is such a weak response. We all know you don't feel that way, sir. Like, stop lying to me.
Do you know what I do as well? If my male friends are around, I will just literally say, well, that's my boyfriend right there, so he's going to have a problem. But I hate even having to do that because then I have to be close to my male friend, like...
Yeah, but then that's the thing of them respecting another man more than they respect your own personal choice.
Very true.
Just to reject
it's that male,
honestly,
that energy.
I'm telling you,
energy is true.
I'm just not here for it. And especially if you're dressed, if you're going to the club and you're dressed up, they kind of treat you like, well, didn't you want attention with that tube top?
I hated that when I used to go out, honestly.
You laid your headdress, isn't that what you came here for?
Well, who did you dress for then? Myself.
The one I always get is, well, if you didn't want to dance with a man, why did you come out your house? Because I didn't realise the club told me that I'd have to dance with a man just so I could get let in.
That wasn't on the terms and conditions of my ticket.
I didn't realise it was the blueprint. That's my worst one.
That's so mad. That's so wild.
But girls, I wanted to know, like, so, you know when, like, I tell you about what happened to me, let me bring it back to when I was at work. I used to work for the NHS. And one time I rang up and said I had an upset stomach. And they were just like, we're probably going to have to ask you to take a sample so that we can test it to make sure. Because the person on the phone honestly thought I was lying. And I was like, I'm not lying. I have an upset stomach. But they were just going some whole nother level of checking. But if somebody lies about being sick, you know, like some people have been fired for this. Like, do you think that's fair?
I think it depends on the the consistency of it, because some people, they have a job out of necessity and not out of desire, which is, you know, most of us, but a lot of us respect the work enough to turn up and do it well. But some people, they just get to the point where they can't be bothered. They don't care if they let the team down. Like, I've worked in a lot of teams where, like, the structure of how the day is planned will be, like, exploded by one person being late or one person, you know what I mean? So I think if you consistently don't care about the work environment and your colleagues and stuff like that, then fair enough. But like we all established, sometimes you can't actually be honest, because I couldn't have called in and just been like,
100%.
I am too sad to move from my bed. I can't come in. They would have then. I don't want to then see you next week if I've managed to feel better and you sit me down and pretend like you care about my problems. Like, I don't need it. I'd rather just tell you that I'm, you know what I mean? And if I say I'm unwell, it's not actually a lie, because I am. But there's other scenarios where, you know, if you have to be there for your family or things come up and they're going to see you as unreliable. So I don't know, it's difficult.
I don't think you should get fired for it. I'm with Luanda. I think it just depends on how many days off you take and how many lies you tell. That's when it becomes the issue. Because a little here and there, and sometimes it's not even sick. Like, maybe sometimes, like, you know, your boo has called you on a spontaneous one, like, let's go do something today. You're thinking, oh, I got work. Okay, let's just sack off work and let's just go do this.
Anissa's
That's like a spontaneous thing that you could do.
Yes, Anissa.
I'm saying those little things you could do is like, okay, I'm not going to fire anybody over that. But if every single week you're calling and lying, you don't want the job.
It gets too much.
Fire them.
And do you know what? I was reading in a Business Insider article, and to be honest, I've never had to fake a sick day, not really, and especially not with the company that I work for, because they were saying when you have an organization that's much more flexible in terms of they're much more about your productivity than your physical presence, then you can allow people to, you know, have a sudden doctor's appointment or to be sick on a day, because you're like, actually, I'm more concerned with your work output rather than your physical bum on the seat. And I really hope that organizations start to move in that way, because people should be able to take a spur of the moment day off, because you're like, the company's not going to fall apart. And if you are more flexible with how people work, you're much more likely to get the best out of them.
Yeah, I think that was another reason why when I did call in sick and they were rude to me, why I was so offended, because I know as a worker that I was twice as productive as any other member of my team. Like, I know that when I'm present, and like I said, I hadn't had a sick day, I hadn't been late, I'm always there. Like, when I'm present, I'm doing most of the work, even if I'm working in a team of 5 on that day. Like, I'm carrying most of the work. So I'm like, you really can't allow me? Like, I just need to cry into my pillowcase. You really can't allow me to do this.
You're a vital member of the team. You're a vital member of the team. They just needed your help. That's all they needed.
But my thing is, like, if you're going to lie, think up a good lie. I read about this guy that said, I can't because my wife caught me cheating and threw everything in the dumpster, and now I have to fix it.
That's a good one, Sophie.
You just need to know. That's too much information to give to your employer.
We can't be mad at that.
You just need to say, I'm feeling unwell today. If that was the real story, you just need to lie.
That's why I stick with diarrhea, because there's been too many times when I've had a genuine, like, throat infection or a cold, and they're like, but you can still come to work, you just don't have to talk. And I'm like, no, I'm not well. And so that's why I stuck with diarrhea, because it was like, I can't travel if I need to poop every minute. So then they know that I can't move.
You know, I was sitting next to a guy when I was traveling, and he called into the job centre like, I can't come in today, I have really bad diarrhea, I'm on the toilet right now, it's going everywhere. And I was thinking, we're on our way to... Okay,
whatever.
All right.